This is not a dream. We are using your preferred podcast provider as a receiver.
Hello and welcome to another action-packed episode of Live from Manchester Morgue. Tonight, you'll like this. We're going to cover two cult classics. Hey! We've got Ari Aster's Hereditary and Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby. But not in that order, we're doing Rosemary's Baby first.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Rosemary's Baby. Oh, sorry, we wanted to say we've got a bit of feedback, if that's all right.
Yeah, feedback.
I won't read it all out. It's quite wordy, but it's much appreciated nonetheless. Whatever possessed you to do Threads, without a doubt it is the bleakest film I have ever seen. That said, when I saw you were covering it, I was really looking forward to hearing you both discuss such a harrowing piece. Having the balls to talk about such a gritty and unrelenting film is to be commended. Another bravo would be your interview with Richard Drew. I've listened to a lot of podcasts on Ghostwatch and up until now had never heard Richard Drew talk about his experience. It was really refreshing to hear such an inside take on the BBC classic, the legacy of which has gone from strength to strength over the past few years, it would seem. Talking of going from strength to strength, the same can be said for your podcast. You started off strong with the classic and my personal favourite Hellraiser, and you have definitely upped the ante with the episodes that have followed. I'm really enjoying listening. Keep up the good work. All the best. And that's from Fish. Thank you, Fish.
The band?
No, it's not Fish from Marillion. Different Fish. But no, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Reading between the lines there, if we're being commended for talking about harrowing and gritty and unrelenting films, I think that's what people want more of. So
The thing is, we're not going to top Threads, are we?
I don't know. I was thinking next time on Manchester Morgue, tune in for Salo.
Yeah, at least Salo's a good film. I'm not doing the Serbian film.
Oh, we're not doing Serbian. All right.
No, because I swore I'd never watch that again.
All right. What about August Underground's Morden?
Yeah, we can do that.
We're not doing any of those films, but thank you, Fish. Hopefully you'll enjoy this too. So yeah, there we go. Lovely feedback. If you have any comments or anything you want to throw our way, praise, hate, anything's good. Any publicity is good publicity.
Polite criticism, not hate. There's too much hate in the world.
No, I thrive off the hate.
Have you not seen Threads?
I've seen Star Wars. Anyway.
Hate and suffering.
So, Rosemary's Baby. We paired this with Hereditary for probably obvious reasons, hence the cult classics joke. There was a few other things that kind of, thinking about it afterwards, I'll read something out. There was a Reddit user commented for us, aggravating radish.
What?
They were called. This is
that was a profile.
They didn't just say aggravating radish at us.
This is what Rosemary's Baby means to me.
Yeah. They're both scary in different ways. To me, the scariest part of Rosemary's Baby is the gaslighting and the conspiracy and how this mimics the experience of women under patriarchy.
Yeah.
Whereas Hereditary is more of a straight-up horror story, although, of course, the allegory with mental illness is very present. I think so, but I suppose at the same time, if we're talking about Rosemary's Baby as a feminist piece, which it unarguably is, there's elements of that to Hereditary. But I think the expectations of women to become mothers and what is expected of them in motherhood.
Yeah, there is, and how. Well, obviously, there's the obvious expectations on the younger generation of woman. And then the overbearing expectations of the boomers, the wartime generation they put on the, that also kind of extends to when Toni Collette's character is trying to convince people of the supernatural goings on around the house.
Yeah,
she's very much treated like a hysterical woman.
Yeah.
So that has.
Yeah,
there's definitely parallels. Whenever you suggest, I think you mostly suggest the pairings. I don't think I've suggested one yet. And I never try and make we're going to talk about something in the news later that is kind of tangentially linked, thematically linked. I never try and make those links because I think you get bogged down with it. So, but I'm always pleasantly surprised when I watch them And watching Rosemary's Baby and Hereditary, I'm like, there are obvious and also kind of subconscious links between the two.
Yeah, there are. Well, I find this one. I mean, I tend to make a very obvious pairing, but then when you watch them, you go, "Hang on a minute."
Yeah,
there's a bit more to it.
It's quite surprising to me that in the interviews of Ari Aster that I've watched, he obviously he cites Rosemary's Baby, but he downplays it. Maybe he's downplaying it because of the Roman Polanski angle. I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
well, you can't blame him, really, can
you? Don't get Hereditary. You don't get a lot of Hereditary structure without Rosemary's Baby.
No. Should we start with? Well, let's go on to Rosemary's Baby then in a bit more detail.
Yeah. So 1968, Roman Polanski. I guess we're allowed to say that you can probably steal this film if you want to, because Roman Polanski is a convicted paedophile.
Yep. Well, did he actually get convicted? Because he ran away, didn't he?
He did run away. He did run away and then continued to make films and win awards for those films.
Who's giving him awards?
He got an Oscar for The Pianist.
What the fuck's that all about?
A few years back.
I mean, that's like separating the art from the artist to the highest degree. Let's give him an Oscar.
A few years ago, I think in 2019, there was a whole there was a bunch of filmmakers that like signed a petition to allow him back into the country. I remember that, yeah, including Scorsese and everything.
Yeah, he fucking melts.
Yeah, it's fascinating actually. I'm reading a book at the moment about I think it's I can't remember the name. It's like Chinatown and the End of Modern Hollywood or something. But it's really good. It's about the making of Chinatown, and then it kind of branches off to all the different creators: the writer Robert Towne, Jack Nicholson, Roman Polanski. Covers a bit of the Sharon Tate murders. Great Errol Morris documentary on the Manson family murders on Netflix. Everyone should watch that. But that kind of goes through Polanski and like what kind of person he was. And a lot of people kind of say, "Oh, look at the horrible thing that happened to him. Like that must have turned him that way." But he was always like, he had an open relationship with Sharon Tate. He was always a playboy. He always liked younger women. He said in his memoir that he preferred younger women because of the way they looked and acted. So like, it's inexcusable. The guy liked young girls. So like, anyway.
Yeah, oh God. Well, I mean, ironically, I was going to say I've not rewatched this for the purposes of the show because I've seen it so many times. But what I did do was watch the special features on the DVD yesterday, and there's not much to it. The one was a retrospective interview with Roman Polanski, which I didn't watch because I don't care what he thinks, and one was it was like a set making of kind of thing.
Yeah,
it filmed at the time. It was mainly about Mia Farrow and his relationship and how they interact as director and
it's very good that making of. I love classic making ofs.
Yeah, I learned some things, but it opens with Roman Polanski, a young controversial European director. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's what I also learned from that was that Mia Farrow had pet toads.
Yeah,
she had loads of animals.
Mia Farrow's great.
Yeah, I think she's quite critical. She's an activist, isn't she? Let's say that.
Yeah,
critical of certain governments.
She's unfortunately prominent in the public eye for another paedophile.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. There's a pedo connection here because obviously she was married to Woody Allen.
Connection. Oh my God.
Yeah, well, there is. I'm not making light of it, but there is. So yeah, Woody Allen, isn't it?
Yeah. So going on to the film. Let's stop talking about paedophiles.
Let's talk about a film about.
Yeah. I mean, Satan might be a paedophile. We don't know. Probably is.
Well, he's a rapist, according to the film.
Rapist,
that happens, yeah. Oh God! But why does this always happen? Why? Jesus!
Why does this always happen?
Anyway.
So, based on the novel by Ira Levin.
Yes.
So Roman Polanski initially didn't want to do the film. He was coming off the back of The Fearless Vampire Killers, which is a good film.
Alfred Hitchcock got offered it and declined it, apparently.
Yeah, he did. Robert Evans offered it to Polanski, turned it down, which was kind of shocking at the time because Polanski was in need. Fearless Vampire Killers was not a hit, even though it's quite a good film. Unfortunately, Roman Polanski makes very good films. So Robert Evans, legendary Hollywood producer Robert Evans, kind of like offered him the role, and he didn't really want it because he kind of, I think he was turned back towards it because he initially didn't like the kind of soap opera-y kind of. Rosemary in the book is more of like an all-American girl, and it's very soap opera-esque.
Yeah.
But then he kind of realized that it's the soap opera angle that makes it work because it's this idyllic facade life that she lives while underneath she's being manipulated by, So yeah, then he decided to do it. Mia Farrow, her first main role, which is insane.
Yeah, she's absolutely blinding.
She's phenomenal. Like, obviously, novel, all-American, bubbly girl, and in the film, she's like kind of this meek, mousy. I mean, you say that as the pejorative terms to describe her, but from the start, she knows what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Rosemary's incredibly smart. She knows that she's being manipulated quite fast, but she's unfortunately very in love with her husband.
Yeah.
And in love with the lovely apartment that they've just bought. The insanely massive fucking American apartment.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
God, yeah. The building's an amazing set. As a set, so this is one of the parallels with Hereditary. We're going to go into a bit later that Hereditary's kind of got this motif of dollhouses. And this kind of artifice where the people are manipulated. And I think the apartment building in Rosemary, which is something that Polanski and the production designer, I think, who were colleagues from previous films, they specifically picked out because of the way it looked inside and outside.
Okay.
And I think as a set, that's really perfect for like these kind of satanic machinations to be going on. And I love how like it's I rewatched it recently. It's every episode I plugged that I got the lovely 4K restoration, which is lovely. You should buy it. Steal it.
Steal it. Well, to be fair, I've got a copy on DVD which I bought from a charity shop, which is the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and it still looks great.
Yeah.
But it's teased from like the very beginning, because when she goes, literally the opening scene when they walk in the building, the lift dude kind of has a little shifty look around. Mm-hmm. So it's right at the beginning, something is up, and watching it again now, you're like, oh man, it was always happening.
Yeah, well, this is, ironically, we will cover Hereditary in a bit more detail, but the same thing's going on throughout Hereditary.
Yeah.
Which I noticed when I rewatched that, because I bought that on Blu-ray and rewatched it a couple of weeks ago.
That's a great point about Hereditary. I'll go into that later.
Mm-hmm.
But
we'll have the same notes again, like we always do.
Yeah, but basically it's all kind of since we don't do synopses anymore.
Sure.
We'll do a little blurb. Rosemary's Baby is about a woman that moves in with her husband to a luxurious apartment in America, in
Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. Which is populated by Satanists who drug her and get Satan to rape her and put a baby in her.
Yeah, they've earmarked her to be the mother of the Antichrist, essentially.
Well, they earmarked someone else first.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and then she dies. And then Rosemary's like second banana,
which is also part of the themes of Hereditary. They mark people for this thing, and then they die, and then someone else gets thrown in the mix.
Yeah.
So, see, they're the same film.
They are the same film. Yeah, I love the kind of elements of paranoia and like it's all about me. It's all about Mia Farrow's performance.
She's breathtaking. As I said, I didn't watch the whole thing. But I saw there were bits of it of different takes of her filming different scenes that I'd not seen before. Not different scenes, sorry, different takes of her performing lines that I'd seen on the film, but different takes of it. Like when she's in the phone box, calling a doctor,
and she's talking to herself. And she does that kind of thing where she mocks, and like she does it again. I think when she's offered the drugged mousse, and she's like kind of, he goes off to answer the door to the neighbours, and she's kind of mocking that kind of when you're on your own, you have like a mocking tone about people that you don't often see in performances, but she does that. It's really naturalistic. I really love it. So we talk about the cast.
John Cassavetes.
Vetti. I don't know.
Well, I always thought it was John Cassavetes, but then Roman Polanski pronounced it Cassavetes.
Well, that makes sense.
He's not from around here, is he? So he might just say it differently. I don't know.
Yeah. So John Cassavetes, who I studied at uni because he's an English.
If you studied at uni, how do you not know how to pronounce it?
Because everyone pronounced it wrong. Because he's a filmmaker in his own right. He's a director. He's very specific of a specific genre of film, which the name escapes me. But like, I think Kenneth Anger is another kind of director of that. But anyway, father of Nick Cassavetes, who is also a good actor and director, but I only remember from being the bald guy in Face Off. but yeah, John Cassavetes is he's the archetypal gaslighting husband. Mm-hmm. It's a really good performance as well. So early on, they go to these old neighbours, the Castavets.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is easy enough. Castavetes. And there's a great scene where the husband is initially dismissive of this old couple, and then you cut to a scene where Rosemary's talking to the wife, and then you cut back, and obviously the old man has been saying, yeah, we worship Satan and we can get you everything you want in your acting career. And he immediately flips, and that's when he flips.
Yeah.
And from then on, obviously watching the film the first time, it would be great to kind of notice those little changes in his character, but watching it again, knowing what happens, it's great to see that immediate flip. He goes from being really kind of cynical and like, old couple in this building, neighbours, we don't have to talk to them, to like, oh, why don't you go around here? Why don't you start wearing this necklace? Why don't you eat this moose?
Yeah, he's all over it, isn't he?
Yeah, it's really good. And then like, oh God, when she gets, apologies for keep using the word, but when she gets raped by Satan, or a jackal, what's the story?
That's you're thinking of The Omen with the jackal.
But isn't that like...
Well, she sees the vision of Satan while it's happening, doesn't she? And she thinks she's hallucinating.
Yeah.
But she isn't hallucinating.
But it's actually Satan. Yeah, I am thinking
or a demonic presence of some kind. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be Satan, though.
I'm getting The Omen mixed up.
Yeah.
The Omen, which I think, off the back of the popularity of Rosemary's Baby? Early 70s? So,
yeah, because this was 68, 69 was Rosemary's Baby, and The Omen was like 74?
Yeah, definitely capitalising.
73, maybe.
Yeah.
Satanic Panic. That's where it began.
Exactly,
This is where it started.
So, the thing happens with the Satan, with the Prince of Lies. And then
the Satan, as we call him.
And then she wakes up and she's obviously got scars all over and she's had that horrible dream. Great dream sequence as well.
Yeah, and husband's gaslighting and saying, I just didn't cut my nails. You just don't remember when we were doing it last night.
Also, you were drunk.
Fucking hell.
And she's just like, whoa, bro.
Yeah.
I was passed out.
Yeah, that's also rape. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Here's some good casting. Secret casting that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
So apparently this was from the documentary thing I watched. So Michael Caine, Joan Crawford, Tony Curtis all visited the set during filming.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
You do know what I'm going to say. So as the husband starts to get all his dreams and wishes come true, the lead actor in the play that he wants... Is it a TV show or a play? It's a play, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's an actor. He wants his part in this play, and the lead actor all of a sudden just happens to go blind, obviously because of satanic or otherworldly influence. Yeah. Now that this fella's now getting everything, all his dreams, because his wife has essentially been married off to Satan. And Rosemary speaks to this actor on the phone. And the actor was played by Tony Curtis.
Yeah.
It was his voice. And she wasn't made aware of this beforehand. So all her reactions to it, where she's kind of got a puzzled look, is because the voice is so familiar, but she can't quite place it.
Yeah, that was
genius.
I think I'd only just learned that recently watching the extras. It's one of my trivia points. But yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good move, that.
Speaking of other actors, we have to mention... the legendary Ruth Gordon, who plays the old lady, Mrs. Castavets, most famous for the age gap romance Harold and Maude, which is a classic of the genre. She's amazing. And also a little trivia mention for Charles Grodin. Mm-hmm. Of course, his storied career, but most famous for the Beethoven movies. Charles Grodin. Polanski was turned on to him after he failed in an audition for the Dustin Hoffman role in The Graduate, and he cast him as the shifty doctor. Well, he's not really a shifty doctor, is he? He's more like she contacts the doctor, and he thinks she's a hysterical woman. Mm-hmm. And the Satanists obviously quids in because who is going to listen to a hysterical woman?
Well, yeah, it's all very well put together by the Satanists, isn't it?
Yeah. And of course, we lead to... I have a question for you in a second.
All right.
We lead to the iconic ending where she gives birth to the son of the Prince of Lies.
The Satans.
The son of Satan. I almost said Damien as if that's what he's called. He doesn't have a name, does he?
No, I don't think... No, I don't think they have a name.
And Mr. Castavetes has the best
line. He has got a name. What is it now?
Is it? No,
it's not Damien.
It's not Damien.
It's definitely not Damien. No, I can't remember now. But they name him.
But she goes in, she looks in the crib, and she says, "What have you done to his eyes?" And the guy, Mr. Cassavet, is all chill. He's like, "Oh, he has his father's eyes."
Yeah. I heard when Mia Farrow, when Rosemary's like, "What have you done to his eyes, you maniac?" Her eyes are so large. She looks absolutely terrified. It's spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on delivery of that.
I watched this when I was very young, and every single episode, I say that because I watched a lot of horror films when I was very young, because I had a bad mother. No, if she's listening, no, you're not a bad mother. But I always thought it was really sweet that she learned to love the baby, and at the end, she's essentially like she's going to be his mother. And I wasn't thinking about the implications of the apocalypse or anything. I was like, oh, it's a happy ending.
Well, you know, I think there's what's that cliche? You got a face that only a mother could love.
Yeah, exactly.
True of the son of Satan, I guess.
I reckon the son of Satan would be like I reckon he'd be handsome. So I think that Omen 3, when he turns into Sam Neill, that's quite accurate, because
that's a banging film.
Why would the son of the devil be ugly? He would be.
Well, he wouldn't. He's supposed to be charismatic.
Yeah. For
a start, and if he's going to be a player on the world stage, then again, work for Trump to not be particularly.
No, he's hideous, which means he's not the work of the devil.
No, yeah, you're right.
He's a pretender.
Schmuck. He's just a grift and schmuck.
I had a question for you.
All right.
Did you consciously base? So you have a book.
I do have a book.
October Chills.
Thank you. Yes.
Which I read last year.
Do you have a book of short stories, guys? October Chills, 31 horror stories for 31 days.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's really good. Some of them are like creepypastas, like 2 pages.
Yeah.
And the others are like, a bit longer.
Yeah.
I think the opening one.
Oh yeah, I know the one you mean.
Is the baby shower?
That's right. It's a very similar premise to Rosemary's Baby, I guess.
And we definitely invoke that, because I think it's about a photographer that's hired to do a baby shower, but he quickly realizes that
he's witnessing the birth of the Antichrist.
Yeah. And I think the way you described that put me in that kind of room where everyone's like, it's normality, isn't it? Everyone's sat around like, it's just a baby.
I guess it must be influenced by that, yeah, in some ways. Weirdly enough, I was going to mention this anyway. There's an episode of Inside Number 9 called The Harrowing.
Oh, yes.
Which is great.
That's a great
episode. Is clearly, obviously influenced by, I would say, Rosemary's Baby, because it's the same premise. A babysitter goes to a house, a bit like House of the Devil, I suppose, as well. Tyler West's House of the Devil, which is also a great film. Goes to babysit, and ends up. It's not quite the same, is it? I think in the premise of The Harrowing, it's that they've got this brother or something who's locked upstairs.
Yeah,
and he has to do somewhat hideously. The whole concept is that she's going to be his mother, but he has to do a reverse birth and get inside her or something.
Yeah,
it's really grim. But the character that Reece Shearsmith plays in that was I based the guy in my story on him.
Oh, great.
So there's a lot of links there to between Inside Number 9 and my own book and Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, it didn't make me think of that. It's the first story. I mean, they're all good, but it's the first story, and I think it's still one of the most striking.
Thank you. So what do you think this has influenced, aside from The Harrowing and aside from probably Hereditary?
What do I think this has influenced?
Yeah,
good Lord.
There's got to be loads, hasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the whole... I mean, The Omen influenced a whole generation of, like, Satan spawn, Satan cults, and all sorts of stuff itself, and The Omen owes a massive debt to Rosemary's Baby. But I guess...
Let's not forget as well, The Exorcist came out around this time as well. That was 74.
It's The Exorcist 70. I'm pretty sure, having recently watched all my extras on The Exorcist, that Friedkin definitely cites Rosemary's Baby, specifically in terms of like tone.
Now I'm thinking about it, I think The Omen came after. I think The Omen might have been like 76. It might have been after those two.
Yeah, because we were in a period in the 70s, like obviously Rosemary's Baby would have contributed to it kicking off. We're in a period where horror was obviously huge, because we've got Halloween coming out around similar time, late 70s. Black Christmas before that. So we're in a time for horror, but religious horror, which Rosemary's Baby, Exorcist, and Omen definitely are. Religious horror was definitely kind of, it was, Christian groups protested in the papers, and like picketing outside cinemas. So it's ripe for being historic and iconic.
Yeah.
But
I think Carrie was around that time as well, which was not strictly religious horror. Her mum was religious and horror.
Oh yeah, definitely with a religious bent. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, what a time! What a time to be alive. No internet, but
No internet.
in fact, that's even more.
Didn't need it. Just go and watch loads of religious horror films.
Yeah.
Every weekend.
I think ultimately, though, Rosemary's Baby, aside from the whole spawn of Satan being born, cult conspiracy thing, unfortunately, to cite his talent, but like the whole kind of domestic paranoia of Roman Polanski films, like he did Repulsion before then. That's kind of a genre in and of itself, like the paranoia of like the normal suburban life.
Very true.
And that's obviously at the centre of Hereditary as well, which we're going to talk about.
Which we are in a mo. Do you want to have a little chat about anything you've seen recently?
Yes.
I haven't really watched that much, if I'm being honest. I finally started the Mike Flanagan House of Usher one on Netflix.
That's okay.
Yeah, the characters are annoying me already, and I'm only one episode in.
Somebody needs to keep Mike Flanagan and his brother away from the keyboard a bit. Somebody needs to be over their shoulder saying, "That's great. It's really profound. It's great. Okay, stop now." You could shave 500 words off that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're okay. He lost Clayface.
Did he?
Yeah,
He lost it.
He's not doing Clayface anymore.
That's bizarre. I thought it'd be a great choice for that.
Maybe.
Well, you don't know, do you? It might have been. I mean, if they're doing it as a horror story, which it should be, if they're doing it as the old Basil Carlo character who uses the goop to make himself into...
I think they would have been, yeah.
Yeah.
I say Mike Flanagan's a bit like long-winded and needs like kind of reining in a bit, but my favourite version of Doctor Sleep is like the 3.5 hour director's cut, which is just...
I've only seen one version of it.
The director's cut's so good.
I like Doctor Sleep, yeah. I think a lot of people needlessly hating on it. I think if you're going to try and do a sequel to a film like The Shining whilst also being an adaptation of a book and make everyone understand it, it was pretty fucking good.
Yeah. Yes. So what did I watch recently? I think the best thing to mention is a Scandinavian film on Shudder called The Ugly Stepsister, which is a retelling of Cinderella from the POV of one of the stepsisters.
Okay.
So everyone knows the story of Cinderella. It's that, basically. But you're with one of the stepsisters. She's in love with the prince. Her mother is kind of marries into this family that has Cinderella. He quickly dies. She becomes penniless. And obviously we have to marry off to the prince, so we've got money. So she kind of puts her daughter through the most horrible gauntlet of Victorian age, like whenever it was set, like plastic surgery.
Jesus Christ!
2 specific scenes of plastic surgery that even I had.
Medieval plastic surgery, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, so we have. I won't spoil what it is. I won't spoil what happens, but you have rhinoplasty.
Oh no!
All I'll say is fake eyelashes.
Oh no!
Yeah, so that's those 2.
That sounds great. I'm going to watch it.
It's very good. Those 2 scenes are great. There's also an incredibly icky tapeworm scene.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
But I don't mind that. I don't mind that stuff.
I mean, I don't love it.
But yeah,
I'm all right with it.
It's very, in tone and message, it's incredibly close to The Substance. So if there are any fans of The Substance...
Which everybody should be a fan of The Substance.
Yeah, it's very kind of... everyone's horrible in the film, even to an extent the main character, who is a sympathetic character, even she's a bit horrible, but she can't kind of help it because of the existence they live in the hierarchy of class and gender. It's just everyone's just a twat. Even Cinderella's a twat.
Excellent.
It's a very, very
I love a medieval body horror with no redeeming characters at all.
Yeah.
That sounds smashing. That did you say that was on Shudder before?
It is on Shudder. It came on Shudder a couple days ago.
Shudder, the popular horror subscription service, for those of you who are unaware.
We are not sponsored by Shudder.
But hey, Shudder guys.
Yeah, it'd be great, yeah.
If you're out there and you're listening, we'll happily...
Save me that $5 a month.
Yeah, save us a $5 a month. Send us a Shudder t-shirt. We'll plug your shows and your films, sorry. Actually, you know what? Weirdly, there used to be a podcast they showed on there. An audio one called She Kills, and it was like women in the horror industry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Adrienne Barbeau used to present it, introduce it at the start, which was cool because it was like she was the lighthouse DJ from The Fog.
Oh yeah,
It was a really cool choice. Obviously, I did by design. She'd been hired to do it because of that. But yeah, it had loads of cool people in it. Anyway, on to Hereditary. If I read something out, because it kind of goes a bit into what we were saying a minute ago. Brian McCall, our friend on Blue Sky, says Hereditary was a brilliant debut movie. Yeah, it's kind of almost so ubiquitous now in the same way that Robert Eggers is. You forget that it was his debut movie.
It's insane.
Yeah. Lots of genuinely scary moments, and the what the fuck ending. Toni Collette should have received an Oscar nomination, but the Academy hates horror.
Yep.
Which is true. I mean, there's not many.
The Academy hates horror, and then they end up giving something like Silence of the Lambs every single award under the sun.
Yeah, but I mean, weirdly, I think The Exorcist got something, didn't it?
It did get a few, yeah. But that wouldn't happen now.
No, The Substance got something. Did it got one or two? Did it?
Oscars, I don't think so.
No, it got something from
maybe makeup.
Makeup or something, or hairstyles or something.
That's an easy one, though.
Well, I mean, I think I get the impression sometimes it's rather than it being about a specific thing within the film that they're acknowledging, they're just acknowledging the film, and they can't give everyone best picture, so it's sort of...
I think I lost faith in the Oscars when they gave Lord of the Rings Return of the King all of the Oscars, and that's very specifically as if they were waiting for the third film to give all the awards out.
I think it's all quite political, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, just give the awards, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give a shit about the Oscars, and I never have. I just think it's nice for horror to be recognised, being as, it's my favourite genre, and, we have a podcast about it.
It's also historically the most important genre.
Well, yeah.
Some of the biggest step forward in theme and tone and, boundary pushing has happened in horror.
Yeah, I'll go with that. So, Ari Aster,
2018, his first main feature. Prior to that, he'd done a bunch of shorts, including an incredibly controversial short, which is available on YouTube, called is it Meet the Robinsons? It's been years since I've watched it.
I haven't seen it.
It's about kind of multi-generational, kind of in-family male rape.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
It's
Jesus.
It's certainly an Ari Aster creation. Everyone should kind of seek it out. But so yeah, this is his first main feature, which is insane because this man, this small little bespectacled Jewish man, just emerged and made Hereditary and Midsommar back to back.
Both bangers.
And I mean, I really love Beau is Afraid as well.
I haven't seen it.
I think Beau is Afraid is really good. I think he calls Beau is Afraid the Jewish Lord of the Rings. Beau is Afraid is basically if you made a 3-hour movie about your own anxiety. That's like what that film is.
Oh, right, okay. Well, let's not get back onto Woody Allen territory.
Yeah. But yeah, so Hereditary, another cult film about a entire family being kind of set up. So this is really interesting. Like, obviously the film opens with a very cool shot of zooming into a dollhouse.
Yes.
And then it turns into a real shot. It matches to a real shot. And the whole Toni Collette's matriarchal character, she makes the models.
She's an artist, right?
She's an artist. At the beginning of the film, her mother has just died. You never see the mother alive, but the mother's presence is felt throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
And the whole kind of theme of the film is this family, from the very start, is in this own little kind of model, and they're being controlled, and they never have a chance. So I watched an interview with Aster, like a Q&A afterwards, and he was saying, like the point is they were never going to get out of this.
Yeah.
So like even what happened to Millie, even what happened to Charlie, the girl, it was just going to go on to the next child, or like they were never. Yeah. The cult always had them. They were always kind of her mother only had her so that she could then give birth to the vessel.
Which is alluded to, as we were saying with Rosemary's Baby. This is happening right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And you don't notice it the first time you watch it.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's happening.
And watching it now, it's really great to see this family kind of self-destruct. And you get the impression that if you ripped out the supernatural element, this could still be a drama about a dysfunctional family self-destruction.
Yeah. It's quite harrowing.
It is
in that respect, not the supernatural stuff, just the rawness of it all is horrible. I mean,
al-
obviously, the main thing that people talk about when they talk about Hereditary is that scene with the car,
Yeah.
which comes out of fucking nowhere. So, assuming that listeners, you have watched this film by now, and we strongly recommend you don't listen to any more of this if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So Charlie, the youngest girl of the family, gets decapitated by sticking her head out of a car at night on the highway because it hits a telegraph pole, I think it is.
Yeah.
And then, in a great performance, the son who's driving her just is clearly in shock and just makes it home and leaves her lifeless body, headless body, in the back of the car because he's just in shock. And then Mum discovers it. And Toni Collette's performance there, just screaming to her husband that she wants to die because it hurts too much.
Yeah,
it's hard it's hard to digest.
So if I didn't know, if you hadn't watched Ari Aster's other films and you didn't kind of know what filmmaker he was, I resented myself for finding this film so entertaining. And I remember seeing it at the cinema for the first time, and I was just thoroughly entertained to see such like a balls out, like horror film it was a wake up call for like, obviously we hate the term elevated horror, but along with Babadook, like Hereditary is like the poster boy of elevated horror.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I fucking hate that term.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But yeah, it was definitely a milestone in like modern horror, and we're still trying to copy it now.
And they killed the kid.
Which
very graphically,
a lot of people that know me, unfortunately, I enjoy it when they kill the kid because they never kill kids, and I like to booze.
I've talked about this with another friend of mine who I believe is listening to the show. If you kill the kid, it's not like I enjoy the fact that they've killed the kid.
Yeah,
it means they haven't copped out.
You have a child.
Well, yeah, exactly, and it makes it all the more harrowing for me when a child dies in a film because of that. But it's not a cop out then. If you've got a kid in the film and you're trying to make a balls to the wall horror film, and the kid somehow survives just because you're too much of a pussy to kill a kid, then you've copped out, and that's what annoys me about.
It's stakes, isn't it? It's like emotional stakes.
Yeah.
So I think
don't be afraid to kill the kid. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. So do what John Carpenter does: shoot a little blonde girl right at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, fucking hell, yeah.
So I think it was a marketing coup as well. I don't know if it was. I'm sure it was conscious, but like Ari Aster Charlie's at the forefront of the marketing of the film, and I'm not sure. I think I'm probably being controversial in saying this, but she's she made to look like a strange girl. Like she's a strange looking girl.
Yeah, she's got a very unique face. Yeah,
yeah, and throughout the opening of the film, she's very strange. She's like cutting heads off, pigeons and making that clicking sound and stuff.
Yeah,
and you get the impression that she's going to be the creepy kid.
Yeah,
and then she dies.
Yeah.
And then it becomes about this kind of family both coming to terms with what they are, who are just like this kind of non-entity being manipulated towards a horrible evil, and also dealing with like the grief of losing a daughter and trying to bond with a son that you never wanted.
Yeah, and marriage falling apart because of the stress
apart.
of it all, essentially. It's just fucking excellently done. It's an excellent film.
So it's a great family drama about a family kind of disintegrating. It's got some cool, gnarly horror moments. And it's just a great cult film.
Yeah, it is.
So,
well, this is something, if I can say a couple of things I noticed when I was rewatching it, because they're important just in terms of, I was saying before, there are aspects to this that you don't know are happening when you watch it for the first time.
Yeah.
On the telegraph pole that Charlie gets decapitated on, the symbol for payment is carved into it.
Oh, really?
But that's before, right at the start of the film. I think when he's driving to the party, he drives past it, and you can see it on the side of the telegraph pole. So I don't know how the cult, if it was indeed the cult that somehow engineered that, I don't know.
But isn't it? So doesn't it say in the book? So obviously, payment is a real. Not real. Payment is a real kind of...
he has real-world sources, yeah. Is it like a real...
He uses real-world sources, but I think a lot of the lore in the film is kind of what Aster has played around with, so it's not like one for one. But the book that she reads, like, he wants a male body, right?
Yeah.
Right, so and Charlie was the vessel from birth.
It says Charlie, there has a line in it where Toni Collette's talking about her dead mother and how she loved Charlie, and Charlie says she wanted me to be a boy. Right. Charlie, that's a line that Charlie says.
So I don't think I've ever really put the connection together that Charlie was always meant to die.
No, apparently, I think from what I read recently from Ari Aster, Payman was already there or trying to. That's why Charlie was so odd. Payman was already in there, but it wasn't the right body, so they got rid of it and got a new one.
He was definitely like kind of an insider.
Yeah. There was another bit where when Toni Collette's talking about her mother at the support group, she goes to that like. It's not Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a support group
Dead
for
family
traumatized
anonymous.
people. Yeah. And she's talking about her brother because her brother also committed suicide.
Yeah.
And in his suicide note, he says he said that mother was always trying to put people inside him, and everyone just thought it was because he was mentally ill. He was just making weird shit up.
Yeah.
But it was all actually happening the whole time. Them trying to create a vessel for payment. Here's a cool one. The boy, what's the actor's name?
Alex Wolff.
Alex Wolff, he was great as well.
Yeah.
Peter. He's just terrified. Peter, yeah, okay. So there's a dinner scene. Nothing particularly horrible happens. There's a dinner scene where Toni Collette starts going ape shit at everyone.
Yeah.
Because she's clearly under a lot of pressure.
She's full on Toni Collette.
Yeah, she's Toni Collette the shit out of it.
She pulls the face where it's like when you hear that like kind of like heavy metal riff.
Yeah.
she pulls that grimace.
Yeah, that grimace. Oh, fucking hell, she's terrifying. So Peter, he's eating his food before it all erupts. And I just don't know why I noticed it. He has his fork in his hand and he kind of is holding it like as if you would stab someone, like he brings it in a downward motion and holds the meat down that way. Like you normally just hold it in your hand and use your finger to guide it.
Yeah.
He's stabbing it into the plate to hold it down, like a child would do.
Yeah.
And then he starts trying to saw through it and it knocks a load of spuds off the plate onto the table.
Yeah.
And it's not a big thing, like everyone just gets on with it. And I'm thinking, is that because Payman's trying to take him over and he's working out how to use the body or something?
Yeah, that's a really good point because later on, when Payman's like, as we get towards the end and Payman's like going to fully take over, he literally marionettes him. He's like,
he's got his arm up in the classroom and stuff.
And kind of distorts his face because he's just literally pulling at the strings.
And his reaction to that when he comes out of it, he's absolutely terrified.
It's a great performance from Alex Wolff because he's an older kid. I think he's like late teens in the film, and so he's more mature, but he's very good at regressing into the little child. Like he has the panic attack with his mates while he's smoking weed. And then later on, when Collette is like doing the summoning and stuff, and he's just crying.
Yeah, he regresses. He's calling her mommy and stuff.
He's like mommy, like a child. Yeah.
It's
a great performance.
But I meant that. I broke my heart. It was awful. Another thing I noticed. You'll like this as well. So early on in the classroom, before Peter's really started to display any symptoms of payment or whatever, they're discussing Hercules, and what they're talking about is how Hercules' flaw is that he refuses to look at all the clues that are handed to him for his fate.
Yeah.
So it's like foreshadowing.
Like all of the family, really.
Well, yeah. But he has no choice in it. Does Hercules, and neither does Peter. It's all, as you just said, Ari Aster decided that no one was getting out of it. It was a foregone conclusion from the beginning.
Yeah.
Good foreshadowing there, Mr. Aster.
Aster.
Mr. Aster.
So, since you're talking about like the little tidbits, did you notice? I mean, you probably did, but the sound. Did you notice the sound?
Which sound?
So I went to see this at the cinema a couple of times, and I've seen it like since on different formats. But this time, I was watching it, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that humming sound?" I thought my TV was broken. Turned my soundbar off. I muted it to see if it was any outside, and I'm like, "Hang on a minute." And I googled it, and it is there is an irregular bass hum under some of the normal scenes in the film.
Right.
Ari Aster deliberately put there to kind of discombobulate it.
That's the same way as like how the background noise the background quiet changes in Paranormal Activity when the demon's going to come.
Yeah, the bass comes up.
Right. Yeah.
And so there's this irregular hum, and it's in a scene where just normal people talking at school, and I'm like, what?
And there's just
what's
a
going on?
weird vibration going on.
I think I watched it on Amazon Prime, and I was like, fucking hell, Amazon, like, sort your sound mix out.
That's good trivia.
Right, it was very good.
So listen out for that, kids. So what did Ari Aster do next?
Well, he did
Midsommar.
One of the best, if not the best, folk horrors ever made.
I think I've heard that dismissed as a bit of a Wicker Man rip-off, which I don't agree with. I think it's...
Well,
it wears its influences on its sleeve, but it's not. It's its own thing.
Like, Hereditary's a rip-off of Rosemary's Baby.
Well,
and
yeah,
like,
exactly.
I used to have a mate that said... so it was a video game. He used to say that like everything was a Doom clone. Because if it was a first-person shooter, it was a Doom clone. It's like, well, how do you not expect people to iterate on a design?
Well, of course, yeah.
That's the whole point of like...
It's like the first person who designed a jumper. Like, no one's allowed to design jumpers after that.
Yeah, exactly.
What does that mean? Nonsensical.
So yeah, Midsommar, it has all the archetypes of the folk genre, but it really kind of brings that Ari Aster mean-spirited...
It's very cruel, yeah.
But it has a happy ending.
It does, actually, yeah.
Because she gets what she wants. And she's, she deserves it.
Again, another very feminist take on things, I would say, for Midsommar.
So he did Beau is Afraid afterwards, which, as I mentioned, I would highly recommend it. Joaquin Phoenix in it. It's a 3-hour it's an episodic, epic, dreamlike. It's very David Lynch in certain parts. Right. Yeah.
Right, you've sold me on that one.
It's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things going on. And I think watching Beau is Afraid and going back and watching like Hereditary and Midsommar, they're very funny.
Yeah.
A lot of the really horrible things that happen, and I would argue the whole sequence with Charlie getting decapitated, I think there's an undercurrent of dark humour there. I really do.
Have you seen The Coffee Table?
Yes.
Yeah, well...
Highly recommend anyone to watch The Coffee Table. It's a recent Spanish...
dark undercurrents of
Spanish
humour.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't say anything about that because we haven't announced it on the title or anything. But yeah, go and watch The Coffee Table if you like something bleak and funny.
But another thing about little things happening in Hereditary, that whole amazing historic last 10 minutes.
See, here's the thing. When I've talked to people in the real world and also some comments I've read about it on the internet, a lot of people hate that last bit.
What?
They think it's like, it goes just silly.
Oh, Lord Payman. What? So it does, but it's payoff. It's like you've sat through 2.5 hours of this slowly disintegrating family, and this is it. This is all the chess pieces are where they need to be. This is what you get. So we get Toni Collette becoming this kind of mindless, disembodied... crawling along the walls Resident Evil boss that cuts her own head off. Poor Peter is on the run from naked cultists. There's that wonderful shot of the outside of the house, which when I watched it at the cinema, I didn't even notice that there's naked people all around the house.
Yeah.
You only notice it if you've got a decent kind of brightness on.
Yeah, I noticed it.
They all eventually kind of make their way to the tree house where we've got the horrifically... rotting head of Charlie, and
the corpses are up there as well,
and the wonderful Hail Payman, and it's
Hail Payman.
Yeah, and you get the little. So throughout the film, there's like a little shimmer of light which that flickers on the screen, which is meant to represent Payman.
Yeah.
So like whenever something bad happens to Peter and he gets marionetted, the little
you
shimmer
see it
of
throughout
light.
the film, don't you? Like little weird things.
Yeah. So the shimmer of light finally enters him, and you get the impression that it's the kind of possession where he's aware.
Yeah.
So he's kind of accepted his fate, and Payman's in there, but he's in there too.
Yeah.
And he just stands there. Oh God! Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but that's one of the best climaxes.
I thought it was quite fitting myself. I don't share that opinion, but it's out there.
Yeah, I love the kind of. So this is something that Mike Flanagan shares. They're really good at the whole kind of. It's. You could go as far as to call it. I'm not going to call it elevated horror, but you could go as far as to call it. It's cerebral horror. Like a lot of it is about the subtext and the characterizations, but then you'll snap to a really cool visual sequence like Toni Collette banging her head against the
bam, 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 bam.
Over and over and over again, and that brilliant where she's suspended staring slowly, piano wiring her head off.
Oh fucking hell, yeah what a scene.
Worth noting cast wise, Ann Dowd, who plays Joan, who's one of the main cultists that kind of she was the grandmother's best mate, and she kind of helps usher it all along.
Yeah.
She
just by chance bumped into Toni Collette.
She brings the kind of possession. So if you're watching the film for the first time, it turns into a bit in the middle section. It turns into a bit of like the poltergeist, where you're trying to summon the spirit of your child.
Yeah, that's right. They do sayings, don't they?
But really, that's Payman doing all that stuff, and Joan.
Yeah, and obviously they know that no one's going to believe her when she tells them about it. As obviously Gabriel Byrne does not believe her that this has happened, which is exactly what happens in Rosemary's Baby.
So that's another the thing that's really funny. So I wonder if I'm just sick in the head, but like so throughout. So when Joan approaches, I can't remember her name, Toni Collette's character's name, because I just call her Toni Collette. 'Cause Toni Collette's so great. But when she approaches her, she brings her the book. She shows her the book that Charlie used to write in, draw pictures in.
Yeah.
And that's used throughout the film as like kind of a thing to anchor the seances and like conjure. And Gabriel Byrne, bless him, he's just a tired dad. I think Gabriel Byrne's character...
He's had enough of everything in this film.
Yeah, he's really interesting because he literally is just... If you think of the entire family as the dolls in the house that she makes, he's literally just a sperm donor to create like the next gen, the payment vessel.
Yeah.
He's nothing like and as a result, he's really sidelined in the whole film.
Yeah.
He just kind of tiredly kind of wanders around doubting his wife. And then right at the end, she's pleading with him. She's like, "You're the love of my life." And it's a wonderfully emotional scene.
Yeah.
You need to help me. And then she just throws it in the fire. And instead of her lighting on fire, which happened earlier in the film, he just burns to death.
Yeah.
And I find that incredibly amusing. And I don't...
Well, there's definitely a dark humour to that.
Yeah.
It's harrowing and as it is, it's the unfairness of it. It's like, for fuck you. I can't believe it. After her trying to do a heroic sacrifice, essentially. And yeah, just him getting it is funny.
Yeah.
It is funny no matter how you look at it.
But I only had a couple of bits of trivia on this one. One was the bass sound. Thank you very much, Ari Aster, for making me think my TV was broken. And also, there's a longer cut of the film. Ari Aster films are quite long. I think Midsommar is quite close to 3 hours. Beau is Afraid is over 3 hours.
Jeez.
And I think there's a over 3 hour version of Hereditary, the original version, and it was mostly more family stuff. It was more kind of setting the family up to be dysfunctional, which you get in the film, but you mostly get the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 3 hour cut is a lot more of the protracted conversations with the family, with the son and the mother and the dad.
Okay.
So I don't know if that would have brought anything, but I'd still like to see it.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there, Ken, unless you've got anything else you'd particularly like to say to our listeners or about Hereditary.
Well,
or anything else.
Just about the pairing, as I've said before, like, I don't like to... Obviously, the two cult films, they're about kind of gaslighting and manipulation stuff. But I really enjoyed watching them together and getting all the connections. I think they definitely... Cool,
and that's kind of the theme of the show, isn't it?
That is the point of the Manchester Morgue, so it's a good job that over time I'm finally getting the point of what we're doing.
I'm glad we're getting there. Maybe in a year's time, you'll fully understand.
Yeah, I'll fully understand why I come here and
why you come here
into the microphone.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. Contact details are coming up in the end credits bit if you want to listen to that. We're on social medias. We have an email. Coming up on the show, what have we got? I think today we thought maybe we'll do an episode on the Blair Witch Project and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, Blair Witch and Texas Chainsaw. I would also like to do Darkman and Scanners.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah, so those are coming up. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in just 2 short weeks. Thanks for listening. Bye now.
Live from Manchester Morgue is brought to you on the 2nd and 15th of each month by Gary Hames and Ken Talbot on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and all major podcast platforms. Follow us on Blue Sky at killertunes.bsky.social and at kendomustdie.bsky.social, or email us at killertunes976@gmail.com.